So let's talk about this side of the business really quick, because a lot of people
Sure.
don't know about it. I would like to know all of the things, like how did you learn it? How
Yes.
many clients do you have? Like if you can
Sure.
share numbers with us, like paint a picture of what this side business is really like. The good
Absolutely.
too.
Sure, sure. So when I started out, I had one primary realtor who she eventually grew a team under her. Fast forward today, I am serving three realtors because some of the team members who originally were part of that team, they've went on to do different things and they weren't as high producing. One thing that I want to say for ladies who are interested in this, connecting with a realtor who is high producing, who you see them active on social media, maybe you even see them advertising on even the grocery carts in the grocery stores or like the free community magazines. That's a good red flag that's someone who is really serious about growing their business and putting themselves out there. Those are the kind of realtors that transaction coordinators we want to connect ourselves with because they want to grow. And typically they are also the ones who know the importance of a team and that they cannot grow successfully alone. I started out with her. Today, like I said, I have three high producing realtors. And then there are actually a couple other realtors under one of my clients, but they're just starting out. So they're doing 2 or 3 transactions a year, not quite a lot right now. And the way that I charge as a TC is I charge $350 per transaction. And the unique thing about this role is that if you do things like I teach on how to keep yourself organized and create systems and processes, you'll get to a point where you can work more and more files simultaneously with keeping your errors down or zero and keeping your clients happy, because that's the point. You need to get to a point where you're so comfortable, you're so fluid, you know what to look for while you're working transactions to where you can work 10, 15 files at one time. And for those ladies who are thinking like, what is a transaction coordinator? Basically, we're paper pushers. So when a realtor has a TC, that's what we call ourselves for short, a TC on their team, let's say you're about to sell your home and your realtor, they find you a buyer and we go in escrow or we go under contract. There are a lot of documents that just get passed back and forth from between all the parties in the transaction. So that's both realtors, the title company, the lender, and basically you as the TC are like the liaison in the middle of that, helping, making sure that documents are being completed properly, signed, executed, and the right parties have copies of the documents. And that is basically the foundational task of the role of a TC. And so after building my business what I figured was successfully, I have 100% client retention, and I had really built in some procedures and processes in my business that, number one, they set me up to make sure that I was crossing all of my T's and dotting my I's, but those procedures were also built in to provide extra care for my clients.
What are some skills that you do as a transaction coordinator that, what am I trying to say here, that people should be good at? Like, what are some skills, personality traits? Like, what are those transferable skills that you're talking about?
Sure. So some of the basic ones are you have to have an eye for detail, right? Because you need to be familiar with the contracts and know exactly where to look on the contract to see if something is off or something is missing. So you have to have an eye for detail. You have to, in some sense, not be a multitasker. I know that may sound a little weird, but let me share what I mean by that. When you are working a file, and especially when you are reviewing documents, you need to be doing just that and not trying to do something else in regards to the file. So have the ability to be single focused when it's called for. So eye for detailed, being able to focus when it's really needed. And then a person of integrity, of course, you are a part of what most of us in our lifetimes is our largest financial transaction, right? It's a big deal. And, and there are sometimes that someone may send an email that they shouldn't have sent with a copy of a check or someone's sensitive information. And so, you have to, of course, be a person of integrity and be very professional with that type of thing. And you have to have curiosity. And what I mean by that is, especially for those of us who start this type of business without any prior experience, when I first started, I had to go above and beyond. Like, let me really read through this email. Let me see who the recipients of this email are, who should be copied on this type of email, what kind of documents are being attached, that type of thing. And if I didn't understand something, just taking some extra time to try to figure it out. Not that I didn't want to bother my client and ask questions, but so that way I could really have a strong understanding, so I could even present myself. I could present a smarter question to my client if I did need to ask her.
So you can do this job completely virtual. You don't need to live near your clients.
You don't. It just so one thing I will say about this, I teach in my course that it is best to have clients in the same state, because each state has a little bit of a different process. Yep. There's a typical flow of a transaction across our country, but each state, they have a few different documents, that type of thing. So there are some differences. So try to stay in your state, or wherever you like. Let's say you live in Nevada, but you're from California and you have some amazing contacts in California, so you want to build it there. It's virtual, so you can do that. Yeah.
And that can be a lot with military wives. Like,
yes.
I might know Miami really well because I lived there for 3 years.
Yes.
You might have more connections there than I do here, which is totally true.
Exactly. I mean, that's a perfect example. Yes.
I actually have a couple students of mine, and I'm thinking of 1, 2, or 3 who have real estate licenses. And like a great way to, and I don't want to say pivot, because you bring your digital marketing skills to the table.
Oh, yeah.
Like it could be really good for the person who wasn't quite committed to being the realtor. That seems hard to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is hard, because you have to be the ultimate salesperson. You know what I mean? And the realtor, like at 3:00, I'm pretty much not checking my emails again until the next morning. And I don't work weekends. A realtor, you are 24/7. There are no evenings that you have off. You may have to do an open house. Your weekends are taking buyers out to see homes. Holidays, what holidays? Like,
That's when people have off work and they want to see homes.
That's right.
It seems like a wild goose chase. And this type of work could be more secure.
Yeah.
Steady and way more flexible, because it's not like you have to get the papers out, in 15 minutes. Like,
right. Exactly.
You're just part of the process.
You're part of the process. And the great thing about the role of the transaction coordinator, since we deal with the paperwork, the paperwork is tied primarily to like the title company and the lender. And those businesses don't work evenings and weekends either, typically. Yes. And so that's why it's so easy my realtor may be out working on the weekend and may send over a contract. I'll check that Monday, because I know that the title company and lender, they're not doing anything over the weekend either. So it works really, really well. Like, yes, the realtor is making the big bucks. They're making more than $350 a transaction, but but they have to do a lot more to do that.
And they've worked for it, man.
They have. Yes, they have.
So how do you help people learn this position? Like, what are you doing?
So right now I have a course that I'm offering, just like as a standalone course. It's a masterclass. I call it the Real Estate Transaction Coordinator Masterclass. And really, Emily, it's like a business in a box. And I know that this is kind of your method as well, where it's, this is not a hobby. This is our business. This is how we earn income for ourselves and for our family. And so, how to keep of course, I teach how to process transactions, provide examples, how to keep yourself organized, how to keep your clients happy, how to find clients, that type of thing. Of course, that's like bare minimum in the masterclass. But we also talk about like finances and getting yourself started. You know, you don't need to spend tons of money on like accounting software when you first start, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, because those are the little things that if you will take care of before you start bringing on clients, it's so much easier to have those things in place than to not be able to invoice your first client because you don't have PayPal set up or something, you know, something so simple. You know what I mean?
And it holds people back. It totally does.
It
Of
does.
course, it does.
It really does. And so, yeah, so this is my launch time for this digital course. And I'm really excited because it's been revamped. As I mentioned before, when you were asking me kind of what happened over those 2 years, this is the third iteration of this masterclass. And I think this is like, you know, one of the best versions of it where I've really added in some core examples that I know it'll click with students when they see this, like, okay, I get it. This is how this works. So I try to, and I know you do this too, Emily, but it's like you have to keep in mind the different learning styles. And so the visual, you know, the auditory, that type of thing. So this masterclass is probably the one I'm so proud of it. And I'm really excited to just, because I know, and I know you're like this too, we get connected to our students and we want them to excel. We want them to get that Facebook post or the email saying, hey, I got my first client, you know?
Oh, it
Yeah.
makes me so happy.
Oh yeah, that's the best. That's the best.